Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Sometimes this just popped in my head. The movie is Frozen, and there's a song from it called Let It Go. Let it go, let it go. Sometimes you just gotta let things go that don't serve or support you, but sometimes we're afraid to do that. And we're going to help you out with that. We're going to talk about that with somebody who is the owner of Healthy Mindful Self, and she does many powerful meditations, offers lots of insight when it comes to your mindset. She's also got a massive pharmaceutical background as well. Dr. Lisa Nezneski is back with us. Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing well. And it's spring. Today is the beginning of spring. So we're going to talk about spring cleaning and letting things go.
Perfect timing. Really, seriously, perfect timing. So the things that we're talking about letting go could potentially be pretty much anything in your life, people, jobs, situations, right? All of that.
Habits, especially. We find that we do things for reasons that might have made sense initially, but many years down the road, we find ourselves doing the same thing, and it may not be as helpful. So let me tell you how I lived in a dorm that had the athletes, the Pittsburgh University of Pittsburgh athletes, and they were noisy. They were really noisy. And of course, I was a serious student at this point, and I really wanted to do well. And I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because it was quiet and I could study. And those guys wouldn't bother me. So I liked that time. I felt like my brain was fresh. I am a morning person generally. And for many years, that 4 o'clock habit continued. Now, it served a purpose when I had young children. I could get up and get a couple hours of work done, then get the family up and get them ready. But I'm finding now, ever since the time changed, that I'm not so excited to get up at 4 a.m. and start working. I'm reprioritizing so that if I want to get it done, I'm going to change the time frame. I'm still a morning person, but I'm changing the way that I'm doing things because, I had an episode where I was just pushing myself way, way, way too hard. And I found that after I took a break and came back to it, things were actually really easier when my body was rested. So old habits die hard. You really have to pay attention to how your body is feeling when you're doing things. But there could be any given day that I was up at 4 in the morning just for years.
I'm with you on that. Did the same thing. Wasn't by my choice, but you get into that habit, and all of these habits, you don't even know you're doing it after a while. You're just doing it, thinking, I call it the treadmill of life. You're just like every day the same thing until you realize something breaks it. The habit,
Exactly.
whether your body said you got to listen to me, or situations change. Let's say a job ends, relationship ends, and now you pivoted in a different direction, but now you see it for what it was. Like, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't good, and I didn't realize it because I just kept doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. What did you call it? The treadmill of life?
The treadmill of life. It's just like it just keeps going around. You're on it. Okay, all right. Well,
I have an Irish friend that calls it the flywheel of misery.
uh yeah. Well, the other part that I think of is the hamster wheel. So,
Mhm.
the hamster is just he's going around and going around, not going anywhere, just does every day. Uh, Fortunately, the
Right.
hamster gets exercise, but that's about it. Nothing else going on there. Yeah. Wow.
Right. Right. Exactly. So, when you really start taking a deep dive into things that, whether like you said, things break, something breaks, and you have to look at your life and reformulate it in a certain way. Sometimes it's easy to pivot, and other times it's like I don't even know where to begin.
Yes.
And that's when you really have the golden nugget opportunity from all of that misery, is that you can redesign your whole life over again in the
Mm.
better and in a more emotionally fulfilling way. So,
Mm.
yeah, you've got to go through some crap sometimes to come out the other side and really know that you made it through. First of all, thank yourself for making it through.
Yep.
Like, hindsight, looking back, well, maybe it wasn't so bad going through that. But then again, you're like, no, that was horrible. I don't want to ever do that again. But set yourself up for more successes by restructuring your life to include those things that really matter to you.
How do you realize what you're doing is really not working for you? Or do you wait for you wait till you get to the point where you might have an issue, like a health issue or something to disrupt it?
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you I'm working on another book called Toxic Productivity, and one of the things that I've done for years, and this works for me, is every 90 days I reevaluate.
Hmm.
I have I have 3 calendars hanging on my wall because I want to look ahead 3 months at any given time and see. Uh, and for me, that chunk of time is manageable. So January, April, July, October are the 4 big adjustments that I make every year, but I'm always looking at 90 days. So partially because things change seasonally. The things that you wanted to do in the winter time,
Yeah.
you're not going to want to do in the springtime. Um, so refocusing your efforts in a way that you take advantage of the time while it's there. It's time to plant here. I've sort of missed the window. I should have actually planted in February, but there was too much going on at my house
Well,
that
yeah.
I physically couldn't do it. So, but now, I want to take advantage of that time while it's there and get some spring planting in.
So do I hear this right, Lisa, that you have, and I'm the same way. Yes, I have digital calendars, but I love it in my face, right on the wall. It just, you can't ignore it. It's staring at you. If it was three
Yeah,
computer
exactly.
screens with just calendars, that would be okay too, but not practical. Uh, but you literally have, like, let's say, March, April, May in front of
I
you.
have reminder binder here. This is to my left. To my right, because I'm sort of camping out. I'm not in my usual office. I have a beautiful March calendar here that I'm
Mm.
working off of. And
Uh-huh.
then tucked under my laptop, I have another paper calendar with today. This is what today's tasks are. So
Wow.
yes, I still am paper bound with regard to calendars, but then I find myself transposing them into my electronic calendars. But I use them both extensively.
Hmm. Interesting. So it's giving you a 3-month view at a glance in many regards.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Like what's coming up? Okay, April, one of my sons has a birthday, there's Easter, I have a couple of live events coming up. So April's a big month for me.
Hmm.
May, not so much. I'm going to take some vacation. I'm going to maybe go to Las Vegas or maybe go to Sedona. I'm heading out of town.
Cool.
I'm getting out. Yeah. So, but to get back to, I plan those things by what's the six domains of my personal core foundation. As I'm planning my 90-day period, what am I going to go see the kids, relationships, you know, the bills are already tracked. I know financials are good. Um, Home
Hmm.
life. Yeah, I really do got to plant those flowers. This would be the best weekend to do that. So
Mhm.
I'm scheduling, those big things that matter to me based around my personal core foundation.
So you break it into different categories. where it's okay. So personal, work. Well, okay, let me do that again. Relationships, work, and then personal could be the fun, like going to take a vacation, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
hmm.
Yeah. And I do plan an outing once a week, go out, be with people once a week. And then Sundays, most of the time, I am binge watching something. I need an entire day of downtime. So, and that's becoming hard and fast. I'm not budging from that. I don't care what
Hmm.
festival is happening outside. I need my downtime.
How did
So,
that happen for you? And many of us don't do that, don't take that. I just want to say one thing before I go there. When you move the calendars, your camera got out of focus a little bit.
okay.
I guess it's doing its job, but it didn't. It hasn't figured out. There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, I
Um,
was looking at you and not looking at me. So
yeah,
thank you for
all good.
telling me
So, how
that.
did
Okay.
that come about for you making that decision to carve out that you time? Let's say every Sunday. Was that something that you kind of always did, or you came to a point where it's like, I got to do this?
Yeah, I think this past quarter, the January through March, I really was back to work full time, um, and didn't want to push myself too hard because I've got one adrenal gland. I'm very conscious of that fact
Hmm.
that if I don't schedule something before and after, like for a half an hour after we're done with our presentation today, our discussion, I don't have anything scheduled. I don't allow anything to go into that, so I could just take a little breather and then recenter myself.
Hmm.
So I'm much more attuned to my own energy since surgery. So I think that's a recent development.
So it's almost as if you built in buffers,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
things can happen. This is hypothetical, but let's say we started late, we ran late. So at least you have a little bit of that cushion over there, so you don't have to stress out because let's say we ended a certain time and you have something else, coming up right after that. It's like then,
Right, right. There was a couple weeks ago, I had a customer meeting right at 3 o'clock. Yeah,
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 yeah, totally got
exactly.
that. And a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us don't put the
Yeah,
buffers in there.
yeah. Well, I also I pre-plan what I'm going to do, then I do it, and then there's post-planning. And I don't know whether that's from the Wharton School or one of my trainings is you do an after action report. So there's follow-up. There's always follow-up to something, you know, like even downloading the podcast when we're finished is a follow-up from today. So there's
Okay. Hmm.
always a follow-up. So until that follow-up is done, I don't consider the task complete.
I love that thinking because if you don't do it that way, there's always something floating out there, and it's one more thing to weigh on your mind and also can give you stress. And it might be a minute amount of stress, could be large, but it's one more thing on the plate. It's like, oh, gotta remember, just your example, gotta remember to download, gotta remember, oh, but I gotta do this over here now. Gotta remember to download, but I'm doing this over here. Can't forget, post-it note, download, whereby you're sequentially taking care of it. Bam, 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 done. On to the next thing. Blah, 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 blah,
Exactly.
done. On to the
Yeah.
next thing. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a certain degree of compartmentalization. Is this task is my focus at the moment.
Right.
So you really are in the moment for that task, being all there, not divided focus. I think the term multitasking is a complete myth. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone can multitask and do anything efficiently. You know, just like when you're driving and somebody's talking to you, you really want to pay attention to driving, not what they're saying. I love you, but
Yeah.
I'm driving right now. So
It is
yeah,
so true. And in my journey, I realize the people that say they multitask are ones that just want a certain type of attention. I'm not saying it's bad, but they want to be recognized, or maybe they're hiding something in terms of their personality. Maybe they feel inadequate and then just like, yeah, I can do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. But they're really not performing all those tasks as well as they could if they just focused on the one.
And it is absolutely, talking about letting things go, it is absolutely okay to not take everything on.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
let the things that you can do well be what you focus on, and other things. I had a conversation this morning with someone that I told them that I had flunked out of EPIC training. EPIC is a medical record. And I went for training and I realized that I am not an IT pharmacist. I don't like coding. I don't like the behind the scenes. I just want the thing to work. I don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like myself when I was going through that training. I became very hyper focused and almost OCD about this code has to go here. It's like, wait a minute, this is not good for you. So also recognizing what your strengths are and really
Yes.
playing, you know.
I'm glad you used the word strength. It's like a second before you said it, I was thinking of that word where we have certain things that we feel we're good at. And then when we're forced to do those other things that don't feel like they're in alignment with what's inside of us, then it almost feels just like you're going against the grain. Something's not right. And sometimes you have to. Sometimes you can't just not. But for those times where you can, it's almost as if where somebody has a business and they take on everything. All right, I'm gonna do the inventory, the sales. I gotta do social media. I do instead of delegating, they take it all on, and they really shouldn't. For a couple of bucks, let somebody else do it. It's in their wheelhouse, and they'll crank it out.
Exactly. Because if it's your strength, you have new and fresh ideas all the time. If it's not your strength, it's a
Yes.
drudge, and you just kind of do a half effort, you know.
How's
So
this? How's this? And I know what you're thinking about, just what you said, because I got a decent amount of sleep the other night, and I woke up like idea after idea, fresh, fresh, fresh. It's almost addictive when you're used to doing that, when you're used to, being on point, got an idea, got that done, that went really well. And then when you have to do those things that you're not really enjoying, and again, sometimes you have to do a few of those things, but when you take on a whole bunch of those things and it just weighs you down, you're not doing the other stuff that's fun, that makes you feel good. And now
right.
that's almost like stress, brings in stress.
Oh, it totally brings in stress. It totally brings in stress.
Yeah.
Dread, all of those negative emotions that are around, I don't really want to do this, you know? So, I mean,
listen, Lisa, I know what you're talking about, and there is a task that I need to take care of because unfortunately it can't be taken care of by somebody else. And
right,
it's connected to my business.
right.
I don't want to do it. I'm just like, it's just not my thing, but I, at this
Yeah,
moment, have to take care of it. The person that
yeah,
normally would is on vacation and it's all
yeah.
good, but it's just like, I'm almost prolonging it because I don't want to do it. It's just like,
Exactly. So for a couple of years, and thank goodness in COVID things were pushed out, the tax preparation, I wouldn't start on it till March, which I have a relatively complicated tax situation. So I started on it January 2nd this year.
well,
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to knock it out. The year's over. I'm going to get it done, send it off to the tax accountant. When she gets to it, she gets to it. But it's off my plate. I don't need to think about it. And it's one of those things I don't like to do. So, but I planned it so I would get it done, not procrastinate it.
healthy, mindful self. I wonder sometimes if that makes you a mind reader because what you just said, the person I was referring is a bookkeeper. And
Yeah,
this isn't this piece that I have to take care of. It's not tax related, but it's bookkeeping. And I don't do that. That's not my thing. I'm creative. I don't want to do that. But this year, because of complicated situation, I'm probably not digging into taxes until like the beginning of April. And I'm like, tap the brakes. Worst could happen. It's a little bit late. It's not the end of the world. You got to
Exactly.
remember that stuff. Like we're programmed with the IRS. Oh my God. If it's, you pay a couple of bucks if you need to, and you should, if you need to not worry about the stress of it.
Well, yeah, and there's, what do they call that? Where you,
An extension.
there you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
And
Yeah,
you're still, yes, might have to pay a little penalty but again, if you need to,
right.
you have the safety net. It's not like on April 15th or whenever it's 18th this year, whatever it is. It's not like the door is going to be knocked on and you're going to be hiding in the corner like, oh my God, the IRS is at the door. Okay, what do we do? If you need, things happen.
Right.
Sometimes, is it worth the stress? The beating
It
on your
is
body
not
and all that.
worth the stress. It
Thank
is
you.
not worth the stress.
Thank you.
Absolutely not worth the stress. So, right. So even if you don't plan like I do to have it done way, way ahead of time, and you do have to file an extension, they're not going to take away your birthday.
Yes, things happen. It's okay. It'll be all right. Now
Exactly.
that's not to say that, well, I just don't feel like doing my taxes, so just file away, whatever. Probably not the best situation. It's if you
Yeah.
need to, you got a little bit of padding. It's all right. Again, it's not worth the stress of something, and you know what? If you need to file an extension, there's a reason that's probably stressing you out anyway. So why add more to it, by worrying
Yeah.
about it?
That's right.
Let
That's
it
right.
go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's you know what I'm learning here from you, Lisa, is it's the prioritization of things that you can say, and I can let that go. I can let that go. I need to put out that fire now, but these other things, I'm not going to worry about them at this moment. Again, you know, we're doing this on March 20th. You have almost a month for taxes, so you have some time too instead of stressing out. Just one example.
Yes, exactly. And when we talked about habits or jobs, or if there's something that's really stressing you out, you really ought to take that pause and breathe, step back and look at it like, why am I so upset about this? What is it about this? And just gently evaluate it from all angles and try to figure out, should I get a new job? Should I, um, whatever it is that's stressing you, I had a conversation this morning about medical stress, that dealing with the medical system is its own kind of stress, that setting appointments, getting to the office, dealing with, they're nice people that work in the office. They're generally caregivers and they're asking you questions. But sometimes you just don't have the right words to even tell the doctor, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So sitting there, I don't know how many times I've left an office with more questions than when I went in,
Yeah.
So there's a whole series of stress around that.
And that's coming from somebody who has a pharmaceutical medical type background.
I've spent most of my life in hospitals. Yes.
Yes, and you're saying that. So yeah, which backs up when we talk about you being somebody that can help somebody manage their medication, manage their medical situation in many regards. That's just one piece of what you do, but it's so beneficial to have that help with it because if you've got a lot going on, you need somebody in your corner, right? Right.
Right.
Even just suggestions on healthcare. Our healthcare system, the whole podcast sitting right there. If we were to get into it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
we're just about out of time, but yeah,
yeah,
the part where you help people with their medication management is one, but the other part is you help people, call it coach them along in terms of a healthy mindset. And that's just what we're talking about today, letting things go,
exactly.
prioritizing things, planning things out in a way that it's going to minimize your stress. Um, I don't even know how to do it, have that stuff. I really don't. And for that, there's somebody like you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things I focus on in particular is complicated medical situations where they're taking a lot of medications. They're not sure if their supplements are going to blend properly. drug interactions, or if the medications are robbing them from some type of nutrient that they could get in a supplement. So that's one aspect. And then I also help people manage their emotions around whatever illness they have with mindfulness.
I'm going to ask you one question, popped in my head. Just have a second here.
Sure.
The genealogy test to see if medication will work well with your DNA. On board for that or no?
Well, yes, I am. I forget which one my son actually had me do, but I took and uploaded my DNA result into, I think the program's called Genetic Genie, and it gives you a deeper dive into
Yep.
your genetic makeup, because I do have a couple of weird things that are odd, and I've got like both my mother and father donated them both to me, so I have like the double whammy on some of these things that are odd. So for me, it's imperative that I know my genetic makeup, because I have progeny. I have 2 sons, I have 3 grandchildren. So 1/4 of each one of those grandkids is me. So I want them to know what they're
Yeah.
dealing with through life, because I didn't know until I was much older.
Ex-
And it's made a difference now that I know my genetics.
I have it here. It's in the background. I already had it, even before we talked, and that's why it popped in my head. Genesite.com is the website. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones. Gene,
Yeah.
Gene site. Somebody, a therapist recommended that one, threw it out there. But yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm most familiar with Genetic Genie. I'm sure it's very similar.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that one existed. This is the one that somebody suggested. So what's your website if somebody wants to reach out to you?
Yes, it's www.lisa, Lisa, Nezneski, Nezneski.com. LisaNezneski.com.
Let it go. Let it go. Actually, what I'm not going to let go is your idea of the 3 calendars. I'm getting 2 more calendars and put them in front of me. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it works for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of my chapters on productivity.
Ah.
Not toxic productivity, but healthy productivity.
Always great talking with you, Lisa.
Thank you.
And
too, Steve.
yeah, look forward next time we get together.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.